Prologue: darkness. A void so vast, so consuming, that even time itself felt non-existent. I had always scoffed at the idea of the light at the end of the tunnel, that fleeting illusion people spoke of after surviving near-death experiences. The way they would awaken, drenched in cold sweat, whispering, "I saw the light," as if they had glimpsed something divine. Yet now, as I drift in this abyss, I see it. A distant glow, cold and unfeeling, shimmering at the end of an ever-tightening tunnel. How did it come to this? My mind feels sluggish, as if submerged in water, but memories begin to resurface. Flashes of battle, the sound of steel clashing, desperate screams swallowed by fire and thunder. I was alone, a lone shadow standing between chaos and order. The 5 great nations, once bound by the fragile peace Naruto and I had worked tirelessly to maintain, were crumbling. Old grudges festered beneath the surface, festering wounds never fully healed. And when a new threat emerged, the specter of the Otsutsuki, the nations did what they always did. They searched for a scapegoat. They turned on me. Naruto, ever the idealist, tried to reason with them, to make them see that the real enemy lurked beyond the stars. But reason was never humanity's strong suit. When faced with fear, they sought someone to blame, someone to bear the weight of their mistakes. And who better than the man who had once stood against them? The traitor, the rogue, the man who walked in the shadows so they could bask in the light. One by one, alliances fractured, and in the end, war erupted once more. Not against an external foe, but amongst ourselves. I fought. I bled. I killed. Not for glory, not for vengeance, but because it was all I could do. Because if I did not fight, then Naruto's dream, our dream, would crumble into dust. And yet, despite everything, I failed. The battlefield was silent now, save for the soft whisper of the wind. The land we sought to protect lay in ruins, charred and broken beyond recognition. My body felt heavy, my vision blurred. Was it poison? A blade in the back? A jutsu I failed to counter? Think, Sasuke, the world around me dimmed, the weight of my own body pressing me down into the shattered earth. There had been too many who wanted me dead. Too many who saw my existence as a burden. Perhaps, in the end, they were right. Perhaps this was how it was always meant to end. And yet, the light remained. Growing closer, brighter. A warmth, unfamiliar yet strangely comforting, enveloped me as the void around me gave way to something new. Was this death? Or was it something else entirely? Well, as much as I want to figure out how I died, it doesn't seem like I have much of a choice. I can't change the past. I can't fight back against something I can't even see. No choice but to go along with it. TCH. There better not be some ridiculous choir of babies with wings singing at the end of this tunnel. That would be a cruel joke. The light kept growing, swallowing the darkness, pulling me forward whether I wanted it or not. Then, congratulations, sir and madam. He's a healthy boy. A sharp sound. A voice, clear yet distant, like an echo traveling through water. I tried to open my eyes, but the light was blinding. My vision blurred, my senses overwhelmed. My body, small, weak, unfamiliar. No, this can't be right. As my eyes struggled to adjust, the first thing I saw was the vague outline of a man standing nearby. His figure was hazy, but his clothes stood out, something red, a tracksuit. What the hell? This wasn't the afterlife. This was something else entirely. And I had a sinking feeling that my problems were only just beginning. Was I just born? No, that's impossible. There has to be some mistake. Hold him a bit further away, dear, I can't see. A woman's voice said, warm yet exhausted. My vision was still adjusting, but I could make out 2 blurry figures. One had long red hair, and the other, a man, wore what seemed to be grey clothing, his hair also a shade of red. Red-haired parents. A foreign setting. The truth started to sink in. Does that mean, the light at the end of the tunnel was actually? No, that's not important right now. Chapter 1: New World of Fire. Panic surged through me, but what could I even do? My body felt weak, fragile, helpless. This wasn't just reincarnation. I had been reborn. And I had no idea what kind of world I had just entered. He's beautiful, the woman's voice murmured softly. Through my still blurry vision, I could barely make out her outline, a warm presence, tender and full of love. He has your hair, the man's voice followed, deep yet gentle. The last flickers of light danced in my eyes before my vision sharpened, revealing the figures before me. A couple. A man with piercing blue eyes and grey hair, not red, as I had first thought. His sharp features, strong jaw, and thick brows gave him an air of discipline, almost strict, yet there was a softness in his gaze. Beside him, a woman with long red hair cascading to her chest, her emerald green eyes shimmering with warmth. She smiled, bright, gentle, and full of motherly love. A strange feeling stirred inside me. She's beautiful, charming, kind. I had seen many expressions throughout my life: kindness, cruelty, hatred, sorrow. But this was something different, something I had never truly experienced before. "He has your eyes, honey," the woman said, turning to her husband with a fond look. So that meant I had inherited his eyes. What kind of man is he? Judging from his presence alone, I could already tell: strict, serious, the type who commands respect, someone who holds himself to a high standard. Who were these people? And more importantly, where the hell was I? "Hi, little Lucifer. I'm your daddy. Can you say, Dada?" The man's voice rang out, unnervingly high-pitched, almost sing-songy, like someone trying to rile up a dog. It turns out, this guy is a complete fool. I blinked, still adjusting to the overwhelming sensory input, as the man grinned at me expectantly. His previous aura of strictness shattered in an instant. "Ray, he was just born," the woman sighed, her tone heavy with exasperation. "I see, she's the voice of reason in this house." The man, apparently named Ray, let out a sheepish laugh, scratching the back of his head in apology. So much for my first impression. I had expected a strict, serious father figure, but instead, I got this. Never mind. First impressions could be deceiving, and judging by the way things were going, my surroundings seemed normal enough, or at least, as normal as they could be in my current situation. Looking around, I took in the details of the house. The walls were made of stone, giving off a sturdy yet slightly rustic feel. Clothes hung neatly on racks, but what caught my attention the most was the sight of gauntlets and chest plates, armor designed for sword fighting. I recognized them immediately. These weren't decorative. They were functional, meant for combat training. They reminded me of the ones used in the Land of Iron, a snow-covered country nestled between the Three Wolves Mountains. Unlike the Five Great Nations, the Land of Iron remained neutral in conflicts, untouched by shinobi wars. It had long been agreed upon that ninja would not interfere with their affairs, as their warriors followed a completely different path, one of swordsmanship, devotion to kings, and unwavering ideals. Unlike shinobi, who adapted their skills into ninjutsu, these knights fought with pure technique, discipline, and strength. If I was truly in a land like this, then my new reality might be vastly different from anything I had known before. My wandering thoughts were interrupted when I noticed a lone candle sitting precariously on the side of the room. That's dangerous. One wrong move, and it could tip over, setting the stray clothing nearby ablaze. I mentally noted the fire hazard, but there was nothing I could do about it. No chakra, no jutsu, no movement. Because I was still just a baby. Days passed. Then weeks. Seasons trickled by at an agonizingly slow pace. While my life in this new world was calm, that didn't mean it wasn't filled with struggles. Although my mother, Alice, was gentle and kind-hearted, she ruled the household with an unshakable authority. She was the one who held the reins in the family, ensuring order and discipline. My father, Reynolds, was a charismatic and dependable man, when he wasn't acting like an overgrown child. Despite their quirks, I was grateful. Unlike my previous life, where loss and hardship have followed me at every turn, I had been born into a loving home. But even in a peaceful environment, I faced struggles that I wouldn't wish upon even my worst enemies. Because no amount of skill, intelligence, or experience could prepare me for the worst part of infancy. A complete and utter lack of control over my limbs, over my movements, over my bodily functions. No, literally, I had just soiled myself. Damn this baby body. Alice quickly attended to my helpless circumstances, moving with the practiced ease of a seasoned mother. "Ah, Lucifer, you've gone popo again," she cooed gently as she removed my soiled diaper, lifting my tiny feet with expert precision. I wanted to die. Not from poison. Not from an assassination. Not even from battle. No, this was the true humiliation. I am the shadow Hokage for crying out loud, and now I'm being wiped clean like some helpless infant. Sasuke Uchiha had never blushed in embarrassment before. But at that moment, he did. Perhaps it was years of mental fortitude honed as a ninja, my role as a representative of the four great nations, or the ever-faint hope that this was all just a dream. Whichever it was the only thing keeping me sane. It seemed I had been transported to a world that was both smoky and primitive, as if it existed outside the bounds of time. The marketplace around me was a chaotic symphony of noise, merchants shouting, the clink of metal, the murmur of people haggling over goods. I could barely make sense of the blur of movement around me, with fabric canopies swaying in the breeze like makeshift blankets, offering some shelter from the sun. People moved about, going about their business, but they looked so ordinary, No shinobi, no warriors, no sense of danger in the air. It was then that I realized, this place, this world, was strangely familiar yet entirely foreign. It felt like the land of iron, but there was something different about it, something off. I spotted a merchant walking what seemed to be dubious vials of liquids, their contents swirling ominously. Elixirs. Great for endurance, just too bad. The seller's voice was brimming with enthusiasm, his smile almost too wide. Elixirs. I couldn't help but think, are these things even legal? But there was no denying his pitch. Despite the odd appearance of the vials, his words almost made him seem convincing, even to a baby like me. My little Lucifer must be tired already, Alice, my mother, I suppose, murmured, looking down at me with a fond expression. She had a certain gentleness to her that I couldn't help but appreciate. But right now, I just wanted to be anywhere but here. I'll take 3 elixirs for my husband, she said, pulling a pouch of coins from her side. Go figure, I thought, though the thought was a little more tired than cynical. How about we go back home now? I think it's for the better. My mother's arms were warm, her steady heartbeat a comforting lullaby. Despite that, the world around me still felt unbearable. The noise, the bustle, it was too much. Too many voices, too many faces, too many distractions. The constant chatter of the merchants, the laughter of children, the distant crackle of fire. It was all just noise. It didn't matter that I was in my mother's arms, or that the world outside seemed safe. The overwhelming chaos of this world only made my new existence feel even more exhausting.